I love my family. I'm sure you do too. Michelle and I have been together now for 25 years. I didn't think I was old enough to be with anyone for 25 years, but I love seeing our girls grow up together. I love the feeling that I have with them. It's like no other feeling with any other people. They're my center, they're my core. But I have to say that there is someone else I love as well. My dog, Griffin. He needs me. And I don't think he knows it, actually. I'm sure he loves me, although it might be that I just want to believe that, right? He seems really happy to see me when I come home. And when I pet him or I scratch his belly, he appears to really enjoy that and to like me. But I sense that his happiness might be tied to the fact that my presence means he might get food or a walk or both. Sometimes he actually comforts me. And sometimes he makes me laugh. And sometimes he does something that makes you just want to go ding, 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 like that. But he has no idea what he's doing. Why? He's a dog. He is not human. Being human is something else entirely. We know when we're comforting somebody, right? We intentionally make people laugh, or really I should say, we attempt to make people laugh. We're conscious of how we make people feel. And we know for the most part exactly what we are doing. And being a human being, as opposed to being an animal being or a beast being or an insect being, comes down to the potential of awareness of our actions. Many believe that the biggest difference between human beings and animals is rational thought. Ayn Rand writes in Atlas Shrugged, quote, "Man has been called a rational being, but rationality is a matter of choice. And the alternative his nature offers him is rational being or suicidal animal. Man has to be man by choice. He has to hold his life as a value by choice. He has to learn to sustain it by choice. He has to discover the values it requires and practice his virtues by choice." End quote. Our ability to choose values and our course of action in this world, our choice to hold life as precious, that is being human. Free will guides us, as opposed to an animal instinct. And yet, of all nights, that idea of free will and choice, it gets muddled with the concept that everything is seen and our destiny is decreed and all of the stories of everything we've done in our lives is going to be written in a book somewhere above there, and that's going to contain everything. Rabbi Akiva, one of the great early rabbis of our tradition, confronts this topic with a statement that accepts both of those concepts as true. He said, quote, "All is foreseen, yet we have free will." Human beings can actually live with the ambiguous nature of life, with that tension between moments that are perhaps meant to be and moments that we actually create. When I meet with bar and bat mitzvah families in preparation for that ceremony, we talk about what makes this child who's sitting in the room with us the person that they are. The bar or bat mitzvah ceremony, after all, is a celebration of a person ending their childhood, being almost fully developed, and beginning their lives as a young adult. We discuss the incredible influence that parents have on them and how that's about to change. And it brings up the age-old question, what makes a person? Is it nature or is it nurture? Which has the greater impact? Are we just born the way we are, or have we learned to be who we are from experiences in our family, or experiences from our friends, or the things that happen to us in school? And if we think about what goes into being an adult human being, it's actually the same formula. We are made up of two human things, human nature and human experience. When I first introduced this theme to the board of directors, I asked if there were any questions. Someone raised their hand. And she asked, "What do you mean by be human?" She was wondering whether she was to assume that I was talking about being a good person, as the phrase suggested. And then she said, "But people really do horrible things." You know what? I can't deny it. It's true. People do horrible things. We do terrible things to each other. Our human nature is that of a predator. We're the only animals that really kill for sport. We're aggressive. We're manipulative. That is who we have been since the very beginning of our careers here on earth. Tomorrow morning, we're going to read the Cain and Abel story from Genesis. These are the first two human beings born in this world. I know you're saying Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve weren't born in this world. They were created by God, according to the legends. And of the two first people in the world, one kills, murders the other. God even warns Cain about that human nature to be evil. God says, "Sin crouches at your door. Its urge is toward you, but you can conquer it." I believe that we are here tonight and tomorrow because of that very line in the Torah. That very line about human nature. The urge to transgress, it's like ready to pounce. But we are able, through this spiritual process that we're doing together, we are able to conquer it, at least for now. Now, that list that we just read about all the things that human beings commit, let's just say, let's put it this way. You don't put up a traffic light where there's never been an accident before. Part of our human nature causes us to have negative actions. One of the things I love so much about Judaism is that we don't deny that we have negative actions. We don't deny that we have negative impulses. We have a specific name for it. It's called Yetzer Ra, that thing that's inside of every person that leads us to be evil or to be wicked. It's inside every person in this room. But what's so incredible about human nature that truly distances us from animal nature on the other side is the exact opposite of what I've been talking about. It's the potential for beauty and the potential for love. Even Cain, who was the first murderer on this planet, before that, he brought an offering of gratitude for God. This side also has a name. It's our Yetzer Tov, our inclination for goodness. R.J. Palacio, in her book Wonder, writes, courage, kindness, friendship, character. These are the qualities that define us as human beings and propel us on occasion for greatness. This side of us, I believe, is especially apparent when calamity strikes. As we've seen over the last month with numerous natural disasters that have plagued our world. So many have come forward to help after hurricanes Harvey in Houston, Irma and Jose and Maria in Florida and Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, and the two earthquakes, one 8.1 and the other 7.0 near Mexico City. Relief efforts pour in, money pours in, everyone's writing about it. This is when human beings helping other human beings and our human nature is, in its best sense, put on display for everyone. Maya Angelou said, quote, "During bad circumstances, which is the human inheritance, you must decide not to be reduced. You have your humanity, and you must not allow anything to reduce that. We are obliged to know we are global citizens. Disasters remind us we are world citizens, whether we like it or not," end quote. Because human nature is not American nature. It's not Mexican nature. It's not Brazilian nature or African or Iranian or even Israeli nature. It's human nature. All human beings have the capacity for kindness and wickedness. So that's our human nature. What tilts us one way or another really comes down to our human experience. The environment where we experience our lives varies greatly. Every single person in this room has a completely different environment in which they experience life. Some of us grow up in a loving environment. Some of us grow up in a more hostile atmosphere. Where we are born, with whom we live, with whom we spend our time with, and how we choose to either embrace or distance ourselves from our earliest experiences, that all colors the direction of our human nature. And all of that, the where, the who, all of that happens by complete accident. Some might say it's luck. That, combined with our ability to take our experiences and give them meaning, further separates us from the animal beings. Can you imagine two raccoons hanging out, rummaging through a garbage can, and one turns to the other and says, "You know, Goldie, it was 2 years ago tonight that we first rummaged through a garbage can." And Goldie turns and says, "Maury, you're so romantic." We commemorate, we celebrate, we memorialize, we erect monuments. All of it is to give meaning to the various moments in our lives that make up our experiences. Our lives are made up of moments that allow us to feel life. We haven't even mentioned in all the time I've been talking anything about feeling, anything about experiencing. It's everything from anger and frustration to elation and surprise to feelings of love and feelings of sadness and laughter and fear. It's all a part of our incredible human experience. And the fact is, this is not a new idea. This idea we can find in our own Bible in the book Ecclesiastes, which was written, between 2000 and 2,400 years ago. This is one of the most famous sections in the Bible, and it's famous because it was a popular song written in 1965, performed by the Byrds. Does anyone know what song I'm talking about? To every... All right. So what is this section really talking about? It actually sets up every single experience that you and I are going to have in our lifetime. But when it happens, and what order it's going to happen, that is completely unknown. This is how it goes. A season is set for everything. A moment for every experience under heaven. A moment for being born and a moment for dying. A moment for planting and a moment for uprooting the planted. A moment for slaying and healing, tearing down, building up, weeping, laughing, wailing, dancing, throwing stones, gathering stones, for embracing and for shunning embraces, for seeking and for losing, for keeping and for discarding, ripping, sewing, silence and speaking, loving and hating, and a moment for war and a moment for peace. We're all destined to live through all of these occurrences. But for each of us, they will look and they will feel completely different. And perhaps that is what truly separates us from all other life forms. A human being is made up of the breadth of human nature filtered through the width of human experience. And that combination forms the 7.5 billion people in this world. Each one of us, 7.5 billion people, are completely different from each other. I find that incredible. Except there is one way in which we are all the same. And that one way is the reason why we're here tonight. To be human, it's to be imperfect. As Alexander Pope wrote, to err. That's why we're here. To blend our nature with our experience, to recognize that both my human nature and my human experience lead me to make mistakes throughout my life, and I will make them now, and I will continue to make them. I related to some of those words that were on that list, and I do every single year. And that same nature and that same experience also leads us to live our lives with love and with beauty and with laughter and with connection. And I need be so bold as to say that more of our lives and most of what happens to us in our lives are filled with positive words and positive deeds. Gandhi wrote, "Humanity is like an ocean. If a few drops in the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty." The same can be said of each one of us as individual humans in this room. And then sometimes I feel like we don't strive to be human, but we strive to be superhuman. We are either, denying our errors or disregarding them or running away from them. So tonight and tomorrow, just be human. Don't try to be anything more than that. This is our spiritual task in the next 20 hours or so. Reflect on your nature. Reflect on your experiences. And pray to be forgiven for just being you. For just being human. One final note. I knew that phrase, to err is human. I'm sure many of you knew it. I didn't even finish the phrase, and you all did. And although I did not know the whole poem, when I found it for this talk, I was shocked to discover that Alexander Pope stumbled upon the very action that every Jew does on Yom Kippur. Here are the last 2 lines in full of that poem. Now, I am replacing one word, what he calls sense What I'm going to read, I've been calling experience. And then it kind of comes together. Quote, good nature and good sense must ever join. To err is human. To forgive, divine. Shabbat shalom. Gemar Chatima Tova.